Welcome to Saucy Bites, the podcast serving up all things food service and kitchen innovation, from recipes to equipment and the people driving the industry forward. We bring you the flavor behind the food. Brought to you by Ovention Ovens. Hello and welcome to Saucy Bites, sponsored by Ovention Oven. And today, guys, you're in for a treat because we have a very, very special guest, Rene Marquis. If you don't know the name, I'm sure you'll know the person by face. Anyway, he's traveled the world. He's worked in culinary most of his life. But I don't know all about that. So we're going to turn it to Rene. Rene, man, thank you, first of all, for coming on. Can you tell everybody about you and give me some of that, where I started and where I'm at now.
Yeah, I could talk about that for 2 days, but thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I tried to read it, and I was like, man.
Yeah, so I only done two things in life, played hockey and cooked. And I started as a dishwasher working illegally when I was in high school. Then I worked in a Fridays. I worked in a ground round. I worked in a Chinese restaurant. And then I met one of my lifelong mentors at an ACF culinary competition at the Balsams in Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. The rest is history. I had a full ride scholarship for hockey, and I turned it down to go to the CIA. And then after,
I'm not going to say whether you're smart or not. I don't know.
well, I can tell you that I would have never gone to 3 World Cups and 3 Olympics in hockey, but I definitely did.
There you go. All right. That's one way to say it. Absolutely.
So, had some great mentors, some CMCs at the Culinary Institute of America, and they were ACF members. I was forced into the ACF to be the Hyde Park Beekman Arms student chapter president. I did 175% of my schooling. Every night was something. So Monday night was the Epicurean Club. Tuesday night was the Gourmet Society. Wednesday night was ice carving. Thursday night I played hockey on the hockey team, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I just worked. Worked. Matter of fact, one of your fellow members of Michigan, who's now the Central Region Vice President, Jim Kokiniesti, was one of my roommates.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
We go way back.
That goes way back.
So I had an amazing externship in Texas. Top of the class, went to work at the Broadmoor. Worked at the Broadmoor under a year. I got recruited by General Schwarzkopf to be his chef, and I said no.
Don't brag now. Stop bragging.
I'm not bragging.
I'm just kidding, man. That's awesome. That'd be really cool.
I'm the first one in my family history to ever join any branch of service, especially coming from Canada.
Yeah.
So I joined the Army. I was going to do it for 3 years and get out, and then I found out that the Army had a all-Army hockey team, so I was gearing up for that. And when I went to Fort Drum to play there, I found out that they had a culinary team that was getting ready to go to compete at Fort Lee in Virginia. It just, all the things started clicking, and they paid off all my student loans, and I got a cash bonus for joining the Army. So I was going to do 3 years and get out. And when I found out about the hockey team and the culinary team, I re-enlisted. 22 years later, I found myself retired from the Army. Since then, I've done everything from education, corporate chef, back to an educator, worked for F. Dick Knife Company. Now I'm currently working at Land O'Lakes, a farmer-owned company.
Jim Churches?
Jim Churches is my boss. Absolutely.
Is he really? Tell him, Joe Arvin. We've known each other for a long time. When I say a long time, 30 years at least. When I first met Jim I worked for food service marketing. Very good guy. Yeah, you'll have to tell him you're talking with me. That's pretty funny.
He recruited me as well.
Really? That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Like Tim Clotter did for me.
Very cool.
Well, like I said, we've both been in the business pretty much. I was telling someone the other day, I've never had another job besides in a kitchen. Never in my entire life. Nothing. It's people ask me that, and then they ask me, why do you cook so much at home? Why do you do Thanksgiving dinner? Why do you do Christmas dinner? I was like, because I'm asked. Or
Right.
I'm like, why aren't you at the wedding? Because they want me to be the cook. So that you fall into that kind of, right? We
Well,
fall into that.
for me, it's the opposite. I don't volunteer as much as I can't take the pain of watching somebody screw it up. So I'd rather man the grill, or I'd rather make sure all the fixings are perfect. Um, it's a great feeling to be needed and wanted in those types of environments when people don't understand what we really do.
And I think the audience also, when you say what we really do, today's world, we see TV chefs. And I spoke at a culinary school. And at the end of the speaking, I went down and I was talking with some of the students. I started saying, "Hey, what do you want to do? Hey, what do you want to do?" And I
Wait,
was
wait,
telling
wait.
them,
Let
in
me answer
other
this.
words,
Let me answer this. I'm going to tell you what the kid said. Kids said they want to have their own restaurant, they want to have their own TV show, or they want their own food truck so they can travel around the world and they think they're going to make millions of dollars selling hamburgers and french fries.
almost word for word.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these kids going, y'all have lost it, because it's not that way, guys, and it's never easy. We also have culinary students that would visit me they come in for a resume, and I had a rule as a chef: if you bring in a resume or you bring in, and I'm looking to hire you, whether it's a dishwasher, grill cook, line garmager, I don't care. If you come in and talk with me and never come back to ask me for the job, I don't believe you want it.
That's a
I've
great
always had that all my life.
it's a great philosophy to think like that because people don't think like that anymore. But I will tell you, all the jobs that I've ever had or all the jobs I've ever taken, there was some type of practical exam that validified who I said I was. Because resumes today, they all look good. They're Grok generated, they're AI generated. I mean, we have people right now that are applying for jobs and they're saying they're certified master chefs.
Oh my.
So so being
And you're like, what?
well, being the president of ACF, AMCO has no problem calling me and asking me if this person, who is this person? Because the Master Chef circle is so small, they all know each other, and I
Yeah.
know almost all of them personally.
Yep.
Um, the ones that came before Ferdinand Metz, I probably don't know because I was still breastfeeding at that time. But I think about if you look at where the 90s were and where the master chefs were coming out of the CIA. They were producing like a factory, and that was something that Ferdinand Metz was amazing to do because we needed that. And we kind of took the ring off the ladder, and now no one can come up the ladder. But good news is March there'll be another exam, and hopefully the candidates that have been green lighted to pass that exam will be very successful.
What do you look for when a guy comes in, and what do you look for in him? As I said, if you don't come back and ask once, then you didn't really want it. I mean, how do you, I know there's things, and you said that they have to do some practical exam, but even that, what do you look for personality wise?
I think it's just the drive and the desire and the passion that we had when we started. The industry has definitely changed a lot. And the way I see it, honestly, I used to take people's jobs and people's hours, and they would call in sick, and I would volunteer to stay because I wanted and needed the money. Now they want to work their, 5 hour shift or 6 hour shift, and they want to go home. I will tell
Absolutely.
you that my first job at the Broadmoor, I used to have to peel a bag of carrots, clean up a case of celery, and peel a bag of onions before I punched in. Those days,
Before you punched in.
that's
I
absolute
like
truth.
that. Before you punched in.
So I would come early because I didn't want them to take some of my time that I was getting paid for me to start getting paid. So I'd come a half an hour early and I'd knock that out. When I first started doing it, it would take me a half an hour, and then when I got proficient at it, I was doing it in 15 minutes. But but the moral of the story is that's how our industry started, and that's how our industry, grew the way that it has grown. Everybody blames COVID for the problems, and I don't blame COVID for the problems. That's part of the problem. People don't want to go home smelling like a French fry anymore. People don't want to come home having to change clothes before they can go out to get something to eat or get something to drink. Only the chefs, I like to tell this They say, "Well, where do you go eat?" And I said, "Well, I look around the area and I find out where the sushi chefs go after their shift. I look at where all of the executive chefs go and eat when they're having night off. Because you only have 1 or 2 nights off. You're definitely going to the best restaurant you can."
Absolutely, absolutely. I also used to. I would say if you see an empty parking lot at sushi, don't go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to be fresh. In our business, I mean, like I said, I graduated culinary school in 1990, and I was at Baltimore International Culinary College. I did an externship over in Ireland, Donegal, and Belfast, and it was one of the most amazing. The master chef there, he did wood carvings for plates, for everything. Like we would do an ice carving. He had beautiful things. So I got over there and I started learning a lot. Now, besides drinking too much Guinness, it was a lot of fun. At that age, our the whole school, we could, I think we made their stock go up in Guinness during that time. But we had a good time. But just as you said, we got this much training. I said, I don't want
Absolutely.
to leave. I don't want to go here. I want to come out here. Chef, I'm only going to get to come here once. And
That's
I'm a
true.
Kentucky boy that really ain't been nowhere. I'm out here going, give me the chance. Give me the chance. I want the chance. I want the chance. And at the end of that, and his name was Chef Clinton. But at the end, he said, he pulled me into his office and said, look, any recommendations you want, just come to me first. And the reason behind that is what you just said. You weren't scared. It was a passion.
That's right.
If you would do it, he said sometimes you need to ask how to do it before because I just try to figure things out and that don't look very good.
Typical male trying to put a IKEA furniture together without the instructions.
Yes, yes, and I failed dramatically.
You always fail once before you don't do it. Don't make the same mistake again.
Right? Absolutely, man. I would say there's a stigma, I guess when we started the business, we got in to be chefs yourself. I mean, at the time, it was harder than most people have ever worked. Literally, I always say that it was a badge of honor to work 60 to 80 hours a week. People would come out and go, how much you work? I worked 80 hours. I got this burn here. It was that, and then we'd get off and we'd go drink all night, come back the next day and do it again. That's why when Anthony Bourdain said the kitchens are nothing but the misfits, that's who they are. I believe that to some degree because you find a place where you belong and you find a family. Because if you spend time in the trenches with anybody, they're going to become your family. I think,
100%. And
yeah.
you touched on something about, and this is why leading the ACF currently now and seeing myself being the first retired combat veteran to be at the helm of the ACF. I can tell you that in 1976, General McLaughlin, who was the quartermaster general, went to the Department of Labor and said, we need certifications for the cooks. And I told people that, everybody thought we were unskilled labor. And when I first thought about, food service in the Army, I was thinking about Beadle and Bailey and just putting food on a tray as you walk down the line. Well, I will tell you now, because of educated, certified professionals that run these facilities, it's no different than eating at Applebee's, Chili's, and Cracker Barrel all at the same time. Because if you don't serve food like that in the dining facilities, it's the number one morale booster, first of all. If you don't serve good food, they're going to go off base and they're going to go get the food they want. So you might as well serve them good food on base.
I would agree with that. I think just like other places, other industries in food service has moved so far forward, like corporate feeding, people. I met a chef that he was a corporate chef for Dollar Tree. And I was like, how can you be making this much money at Dollar Tree? And he said, come on into my kitchen. So he invited me to the kitchen, came into the kitchen. It was state of the art. I mean, he had everything you could imagine. Some stuff I've never even had cooked on. And it was a great gig. He worked from 7 a.m. and got off at 3 or it was something crazy like that. I don't know the exact hours, but I'd see him out in town. He'd be like, "Yeah, I got the gig of a lifetime." That's where I also saw that culture had changed. He was running a corporate kitchen, but they were not profitable. So they didn't have to be profitable. It was just part of the company, and that was benefit to the employees.
Right.
So
And
that they didn't have to pay for anything.
that's
So
great.
he could buy anything he wanted. I'd come in there some nights and have, king crab. And I'm like, man, where do you get the money to be able to serve this? And he was like, this is the way it is now, Joe. This is what we're doing. So that being said, I know there's a lot of money to be in corporate feeding, corporate dining, but also starting out in culinary, as you rise, you start looking for a family, for people that you enjoy to be around. And that's where the American Culinary Federation hit me. The ACF, I was hit up by Brian Lords, actually, who was like, Joe, why aren't you in the ACF? Why aren't you in the ACF? So we were actually, this is really funny because Brian, we were at a trade show and there was somebody working a booth and they had their name and they had C.EC. And uh, Brian walks up to me and he goes, you can't have that. I was like, what? He was like, you're not even in the ACF. You've put that on your jacket. I was like, I almost fell on the floor. He was like, yeah, man, you're not in the ACF. How can you be wearing that? Because that's a badge, right? Tell us. I think this is great because you're an educator. Take people through what that means. Like how what being an educator. What are you telling these students to go through? I mean, where they
So
have to jump through.
a lot of people don't know about the ACF, and the ones that do know about it, some have been members and not members anymore. But the ACF is the authority of cooking in America. It's got 5 extensions besides the most important one, which is the networking. You've got certification, which is where the CEC comes from, Certified Executive Chef. There's different levels of certification, just like there's different ranks in the military. And it's very structured the same type of way. You need to meet the certain requirements before you can get to the next level. We have accreditation. We have our apprenticeship program. Then we also have competitions, which is a great way for chefs to become better individuals and better cooks and better chefs throughout the whole process. And then it's the membership portion that people can do, and that's a big key. And that took a big hit during COVID because companies stopped paying monies to invest in the employee. But I feel completely the opposite. I feel if you're paying $240 for an employee, you're investing in that employee. And I'll use where I live, for example. In
Mhm.
Tampa, the school district actually gives a stipend to the lunch ladies and the people who work in the dining facilities and the cafeterias at the schools because they're investing into their employee. They're getting educated. They're getting certified. They have to pass a written test and a practical exam. That gives them the opportunity to keep that employee because they feel like, hey, my job likes me, my job wants me, my employer is investing money into me. It's a small amount, and you have to do all the work. But same thing on cruise ships. Cruise ships used to be all the cooks were certified through the ACF, and now they're struggling because they're not. They've got these people working there, and unfortunately, they can't match what's on their resume. But I tell people the purpose of certification and why it's so important to me is I don't let my wife take her Mercedes to Walmart to get service. I have her take it to the certified
Yep.
dealership with the certified
Yeah.
mechanics. I
Yeah.
don't get my taxes done by someone who's not a CPA.
Yeah.
And I surely am not letting my wife go get a mammogram from someone who doesn't have MD after their name. So when you think about that and you put that in perspective, it tells you the importance on certification. And again, some people have one certification, some people have multiple. At the end of the day, you only can do what your career can afford you to do.
Hmm. So how does one chef He's been a part of the ACF. What's he need to go take that test? Or how does he come to somebody and say in a chapter and say, "Hey man, I'm looking to take this test," or where? How do you
So
see that?
the chapter is the governing body that administers the practical exam, but everything's done through the national office, and it's no different than going to college. You have to apply. You have to put up your prerequisites, your sanitation, your nutrition, your management. You have to provide a resume that shows your work experience that validates the level of exam you want to take, because there's nothing worse than paying for a test that you're not capable of passing. And then you have to practice, and then you have to read, and you have to get educated. But we have online learning centers that you can do all the classes. And one crazy thing, there's a lot of people who are ACF certified chefs and they're not members. And I'm like, why would you not want to be a member? The cost is 50% off if
Yeah,
you're a member. So you're
yeah.
saving money. You can pay for your membership and still have money left over. But again, when corporations or companies are paying for it, they just say, hey, what's the bill? What do I got to do? But it's attainable. It's attainable for cooks at schools. It's attainable for students. It's attainable for anybody who wants to get it. We now have a large presence of Canadian chefs trying to get certified because that
Hmm.
opens up the avenue and the opportunity for them to get better jobs. And it's about pay, right? You want respect. This is a way that you can prove it and earn it without actually doing it for a company.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that because when someone is certified, I don't know who you are, I don't care who you are. I wasn't happy until I graduated, till I had these things. I wanted certified. I wanted competition. Used to do a lot of competition, and I don't anymore. I don't know why. Actually, my wife was actually telling me the other week. She goes, "You need to do." She goes, "You love it when you do at least 2 or 3 of those a year." You need, and I was like, "Yeah," because that's what's my passion is. And I think that a lot of chefs, man, that the good ones, I think they just were born with that kind of passion. With passion, what goes with that? What I mean is when I'm cooking for someone at home, right? I'm cooking for someone at home and I'm grabbing some spices and I grab 2 pinches of this and 2 pinches of this. Everybody comes over and goes, "How do you know to do that? It's the best food ever, but I would miss that pinch. It would taste like crap by the time I got it." Why do you think? Is it a palate, or why do you think that? Does it take a trained chef to do that? Is it something you do? I often wonder myself, um, hey, do I have extra taste buds? I don't know what it is, but how do you answer that question if someone said that?
I think that every single person through their career and their lifetime has had an opportunity to be a cook. You know, when I was educating high school kids, I would tell them, you can forget about the science, you can forget about the history, and you can forget about every other class you're going to. The only one you need is the one you're in right now, because the only thing you have to do every day is cook. You have to have food, you have to have a source of food. So if you know how to do that, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and money. A lot of people that I know, they're not comfortable in their own kitchen, so that's why they don't like to cook. But cooking is a skill that you learn, whether you learn it from your grandmother, you learn it from your auntie, you learn it from a school, or you learn it from the school of hard knocks, trial and error. And again, a lot of people don't like to do it.
Agreed. I'm going to move into, because ACF, and that's kind of what we talked about. Um, I meet people. I travel all over the world. Um, oh, I mean America. I travel a lot, but we talk. The conversation between chefs always comes somewhere about the ACF. And over the years, and this hasn't happened recently, or even the last 5 years, because I haven't been um, involved with it. But it was overall, they were saying it's just old. It's old people, Joe. They're retired. It's only that retired people that's in there. I don't get nothing. I'm paying money just to go say this and be in this with this group, or they don't get the networking of it. I don't think. But you being who you are, how do you see that taking the ACF to a next level, or getting more leadership and younger members?
So that's a double-edged sword question, and I'll do my best to answer it, Chef. But I didn't expect to ever be the president of the ACF. It was not in my fold. It was not in my future. It's not something that was in my little 8 ball that I kept shaking up to see, what the message was when it came up. But I did this out of desire and need. Um, I've been a member for 35 years, and I agree with you. The ACF had lost its way. The reason why older chefs aren't so passive and so active in the ACF is because they already got their certifications. They already got their networking, or they're maybe even close to retirement, and they got their last job that they're ever going to need. But for the amount of culinary schools that have closed and the amount of people who are out of this industry since COVID, it's going to take us time to get back. And I said to myself, if I'm going to fix the ACF, it's either fix it now or leave it. So my wife being a chef, we decided we were going to fix it, and that's what basically
There
just what
you
we
go.
started doing. We have great sponsors coming back. We have great members coming back. A lot of people have seen the buzz in the last 2 years, especially at our conventions. This past year was amazing. The year before, it was the year we turned the ship, so people didn't know what to expect. One side of the cruise ship thought the tidal wave was coming, and the other side of the cruise ship thought they were going underwater. So it was pivotal. It was
Mhm.
very educational. We took surveys. We asked the members what they wanted, and then one thing that I implemented was we're not gonna have just any chef come and present to us. We're gonna have ACF chefs present to us because we have the subject matter experts, and we also know what our members need. So we did that, and it was very successful. And this past year in Las Vegas, it was amazing. We had an extra day of
In
competitions.
Vegas, did anybody get lost?
I don't know if they did. I didn't see them.
Yeah, I could see him, but we didn't find him. Well, that being said, I was looking forward to doing invention ovens we haven't ever done. We're gonna do the regionals and the nationals. Um, we have we have set aside some funds to go ahead and try that back again. So know that people have been watching. Know that people seem to be thinking some changes are coming, and or have already been there. So I believe wholeheartedly that it's getting or has gotten better, and I'll tell you why that too. We'll go back to the 80-hour chef or the badge of honor. It was the badge of honor to work as many hours as you could possibly stand up. And it was like people were just, that's me, man. I'm king. And loved it. Next morning, they'd be there working 80 hours. They'd be burnt, didn't care. They were coming right back into work. Today, it's changed. There also, we got used to being yelled at, screamed at. I had a chef from New Orleans. This guy, I was working for him Friday night, um, and busy. We probably had 20 tickets in the window, but the servers weren't getting it out fast enough. And he was yelling. He's like, "Get these tickets out! Get the!" And it was crazy. And I was just a grill cook then. And this chef takes his hands and slams them on the table, and every plate in the window blew out and broke everything in the kitchen. We had to shut down. We on a
Unbelievable.
Friday night we had and it was called Lafitte's Rendezvous. It's not there anymore, so I can say that. But yeah, he broke all the plates in there. Give me one of your stories in your lifetime where you saw maybe someone act out. Just a good kitchen story that you've been through.
I had a chef that I worked for. He wasn't taller than 5 feet tall. He was Italian. Um, Rest his soul. We just did mise en place for the whole next day, and he went in to check the refrigerator, and he didn't like what he saw. He took the two doors of the refrigerator and just leaned them forward and dumped the whole mise en place right onto the floor of the kitchen. So we worked another 6 hours that night to fix it. And then the next morning he came in and he was a little still unhappy, and he threw a knife down the line and it stuck into the metal wall. So that was cool.
How long did he stay at his job?
Um, he stayed for another 15 years.
Really? I guess yeah, it was just the way back. I mean, that was just the way back then. I had a chef that would also come in, and I was mopping. I was mopping the back kitchen, and he comes up and just kicks the water bucket over down the line. It's rolling. He goes, "I told you to scrub this, and I told you to use water." He goes, "You're not using enough water." I'm like, "Really?" he kicked it over because I wasn't using enough water and soap. I was kind of dry mopping, but it was wet. I thought I was doing good. Evidently not.
So come to my army and I'll show you that you don't even get to use a mop.
Really?
You get a scrub brush and you get a squeegee. And
Oh, okay.
you can stop cleaning the floor when you're squeegeeing the water and the water's crystal clear. If it's not, start scrubbing.
I dig it. I like that.
Yeah, it's
That's a good transition.
100%.
That's Army, man. Let me go transition into that because I know this is, I don't know if it's bad, good, whatever. I didn't know that the Army had chefs. But I mean, I didn't even learn that probably 10 years ago that they had full culinary teams, that they had, teams that competed. They have, I didn't know that. I've always thought, you go down the line, you get your, your slop put on your plate and you go to the next one. As I found out, yes, these competitions, those kinds of things. But where has that come? Because people don't get, I know I didn't get it, but to have a full culinary scene there.
So when I was first joined the army, the army was the leader. And they were recruiting certified chefs. They were recruiting chefs who graduated from colleges and universities and had degrees. And that's kind of gone by the wayside through past administration, past leadership. But I'll tell you right now, the Coast Guard will sign you up as a culinary specialist for $50,000 if signing bonus. And if you got a degree, it's $70,000. They're taking the exact model that, I mean, the Army Food Service Program. We had our own culinary arts team, and we competed at the World Cup and the Olympics. And now that the Coast Guard has used that same exact footprint because they know. I mean, back in the day, Joe, three things control morale. And through technology, that's changed. But food was always number one, mail was number two, and money was number three. If you could get those three things in a combat zone, they get up early the next morning. But now with cell phones do the mail, cell phones do, the communication. So now it's just money and pay and food.
Easy. I always said, what was it? People don't leave jobs; they leave bad leaders.
That's right. 100%.
I truly believe that. People want to grow. People want to have that option to make more money. They want to be able to say, "Hey, I'm coming to work because I have a leader that's going to teach me things that I don't know." I've always prided myself in taking as much knowledge from someone as I could. It may sound weird, but I want to steal as much knowledge as I could everywhere I
Well,
went.
if
It
you
makes sense to me.
if you didn't do it, you were falling behind because
Yes,
somebody around you was doing it.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
a model that I tell people all the time is that, if you go to culinary school, you're cheating. You're getting and if you go to a school and apply yourself and get what the instructor is trying to feed you, you're cutting 10 years off of your career process. And it just goes to show true because now you see all of these kids who are in their 30s who graduated from culinary schools 10 years ago getting big jobs. And one of my things that I told chefs, especially in the ACF, if you are a great chef, like you say you are, you would have never lost your job to COVID because your sous chef took your job during COVID. All the good chefs kept their jobs
Yeah,
or they got promoted.
yeah.
And I think that that also hurt our industry. When you pay someone to work at Disney World $25 an hour to serve cotton candy, and you've got cooks in the back that are making brisket and cooking French fries and feeding thousands of people's meals, it's the labor force and the pay is not equally fair. Something the industry still needs to fix.
What do you think? And I know I ran in this problem all my life. I owned a couple of restaurants, and I never could get over the fight between the front of the house and the back of the house. It was just always didn't like each other. Always there was some kind of something, and it come down to because I would hear the cook say all the time, because they make double or triple the money we do. They're out there getting tips, making $200 and $300, and I'm making $8 an hour, and that caused conflict. How do you see? Did you see that conflict? And if
Are
does
you
that still happen, or they change business models, or
No, I mean, I'm sure it still happens, but again, some more army schooling for you. In the army, as a cook, you work front of the house and back of the house, so you get an appreciation for what happens in the front of the house. And when you leave the Army and you go to a kitchen job, you're not cussing and swearing at the server or calling them bad names or ringing the bell 150 times. A lot of times, if the server's not there and they're legitimately in the dining room and not out back smoking, it's no problem for you to take those plates and say, "Hey, you know the table number, you know the seat number, deliver the food yourself as a chef or as a cook and say, "Hey, I wanted to make sure you got this food while it was hot." The server will be right over to check on you. We've lost that mentality. We're supposed to be the leaders of hospitality, not the followers or the chasers.
Yeah. I mean, that that's part of, I think that's part of who we are becoming here, not Army or military necessarily, but like say, I went to a few restaurants that people didn't work at front or the back of the house, but the servers had to tip out the kitchen. And
Well,
I like the business model.
there's restaurants right here in Tampa. You can't work in the kitchen until you work on the farm, you work in valet, and you work in front of the house.
See, that's amazing. I don't think we have anything like that around here.
Well,
But
when you come to Tampa, let me know in advance, at least 6 months in advance. We'll get your reservation at Burns.
okay, at least 6 months, huh?
6 months, especially during the holidays. I mean, you can get a reservation for next week on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
I don't choose to eat at 10 o'clock on Tuesday.
yeah.
They have
That's tough.
they have employees that have been working there for over 30 years, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, there definitely is. One thing that absolutely amazes me still today when I'll go see Debbie's Diner and good food, man, great country dining. It doesn't matter, but you'll talk to the staff and you'll be like, how they'll like, man, I've been here 15 years. I've been here 20 years. I'm like, how is that even possible to keep a cook or a dishwasher? I've met dishwashers that have been there 15 years. I've had anybody in the kitchen that started in the dishwasher is now the executive chef. So I say
100%.
you can get that far.
You can get that far as long as you don't forget where you came from. I still wash dishes. When I see the kitchen in a shamble and I see the dishwasher behind because there's 6 cooks making dishes for one person to wash them, I have no problem from a leadership standpoint going in there and cleaning out that whole dish pit in 45 minutes. And you know what happens? It gets contagious. The next day that happens, one of the cooks steps up and says, "Hey, if chef can do it, I can do it." And you get a better culture and you get a better morale. I just, you know, for people who know me, they know me. For people who don't know me, I leave it better than I found it. I go to kitchens all the time for my job, and it's not the standards that I'm used to. And when I leave there, it is cleaner than it was when I got there.
Agreed. And it should be. It's kind of like I tell my kids, if they borrow my car, it better come back with more gas in it than when you left.
And a car wash,
More, right? You should
and
have cleaned it, washed it, done something because I gave
absolutely.
you it, said, here, take it. So I always tell them, you got to put gas back in. Now they tease me as they're grown up. I'm saying things don't change. You still got to do that. Um, so, and that's leadership. Yes, that is strong leadership. I believe in that culture more than I believe in anything in hospitality.
Don't tell me, show me,
Yep. Oh, that's perfect words. I
because
love that. Don't tell me.
I can give you
Can I steal that?
absolutely. You got to watch a video. Watch a video called "Make Your Bed." If
Make
that
your
doesn't,
bed.
yeah,
All right, guys out there, listen to Make Your Bed.
go to
Uh,
YouTube and listen to Make Your Bed, and you'll understand the philosophy and the training and the leadership that I came from. Admiral Craven, amazing leader. That if that doesn't motivate your family and your children to make their bed, nothing will. But again, you as a leader, you should be learning from other leaders. You shouldn't have that mindset that you know it all. You may know what you know, but there's people who know more than you, and you've got to be willing to admit that. I am not afraid when I don't know something to ask for help. And that's one thing that, our board and our team with the ACF, we're firing on all cylinders because we're a group of misfits that have all come together to be rock stars.
I agree. I like it. I want to shift now, sort of, because what we've been talking into trends. Everybody asks me trends. Everybody says, and I always go, I don't know, the pine nut came out, the sun-dried tomato, like, all the stuff. Everything runs its course. Um, as you see it, kind of now, what do you vision in the next 5 years in trends? Not
Well,
to
I
be
think
necessarily right, just envision what's
no, I work a lot with data essentials, and it's a requirement for my job to know what the trends are. And surely, as the ACF president, I see them,
yeah,
and we actually we have our whole calendar planned out for next year already for the things that are trending. But you see foods that used to be trending now coming back. The pine nuts are coming back. The sun-dried tomatoes are coming back. You know, serving tuna raw was something that we've done for years. Now it's everywhere. Things like trends that fast food restaurants do, like when Chick-fil-A, you know, uh, served pimento cheese. South of the Mason-Dixon line, you can get that everywhere. You go north of the Mason-Dixon line, the
you
only
ain't gonna
place you
get
get it was
you can get
Chick-fil-A.
it in Kentucky, but we call it beer cheese.
That's right. Absolutely. So I think that because of people's desires, again, different age groups, different generations, every generation has their go-tos and their winners. What I'm seeing now, and I don't do it, but I don't know how someone can order food from a delivery service from a guy that has no professional food service experience, has the cat sitting in the front seat of the car, and they pay twice as much for the food to be delivered cold. I
Isn't
just
that
don't
insane? I
I
don't
just
know how,
don't see
and
it.
that business model is crushing it. People
It will
don't
it'll
understand.
die out just like vegetarianism did, just like plant-based food did. You mean to tell me you don't eat meat because you like plant-based? Plant-based is made in a lab with 50 chemists trying to figure out how they can make it stay for 3 months in the refrigerator.
Yep.
Um, Home farm to table will be back again. You start seeing that more rurally now. I think trends are set by people who have an idea. And what I see a lot of now, I see a lot more hot pots popping up. I see Korean barbecue popping up. I see Japanese steakhouses popping up because people want to see their food cooked in front of them.
Front of them. Yep.
I see places like the melting pot going away because you're not going to pay $50 to cook your own food. So there's pros and cons, and I don't discriminate against any of them. I just think that if you want to stay trendy, you've got to stay in that connective network, and you've got to stay using the information that's provided for you by Data Essentials and the other companies that do the homework.
So we went trends, right? Trends that's coming up now. So we're in a kitchen. What do you see trends in a kitchen? Not food, but kitchen equipment, front of the house, anything, because everybody said, and every manufacturer I knew or food, or it doesn't matter, always said innovation, innovation. We got to make robots. We got to put things in here. We got to have serving tubes to feed the customer. I've seen it all. Then I've seen it all, or a lot of it, never show up or never show up in the market, because I don't think I think the cost is just way too expensive for the margins of the food.
Yeah. So I've got some different answers for that one as well. I know everyone's got a big push on electricity right now. I know that a lot of companies are removing gas stoves and gas ovens because electric and induction doesn't heat up the whole kitchen. I've been thinking about if you can save $3,000 a month by not having a 110-degree kitchen, you could spend that money on your employees and other equipment. I know for a fact restaurant chains, large groups, large organizations are changing to electric. I think there's a need and there's a place for some of that all over the board. Would I have a complete electric kitchen? Personally, no, because I live in Florida and we have hurricanes and we have storms that knocks out power. You're crippled without power. Um,
Gotta
these
have a backup.
places, that's right. You got to have a backup plan, and that's the cool thing about where I came from in the army. There's a lot of foods now, especially in kitchens that are ready to eat, heat and serve. But if you don't know how to heat and serve, if you know how to heat and serve, that's good. But the day the truck doesn't show up and you've got to make biscuits from scratch, you're going to find out the hard way. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you can go to your phone, pull out a recipe on Google. Hopefully it works. But I just go back to foundation and principles, chef.
The
If you
one
have the
thing,
foundations and
and
the
I'm sure you'll
principles.
kind of agree with this, probably. And I shouldn't say that. I think the biggest or the best reason for someone working in a kitchen or whatever to go electric, if they went electric, I hear all the time, I don't have to have a hood vent. So I take that cost of a hood vent that I no longer need. If I can place pieces of equipment where I don't have to. I would probably still have a range and burners, but I'm saying anywhere else, I don't. If I have a 6-foot hood and need a 10-foot, I don't have to be in there.
Okay. I agree to disagree. I think that if I'm gonna show you my culinary ability, I'm gonna need a hood fan because I'm gonna be smoking. You're gonna need a hood fan because I'm using a smoker. I'm using a wood-fired pizza oven. I'm using things that still need to meet fire code. And electric induction burners, you can do that in a banquet hall. You don't need a kitchen for that. So it just depends on what you're making. It depends on what you're serving, and depends on what your guests' expectations are.
Oh, yes, I've always said that. I hate chefs that cook for themselves and not the customer. I always say,
Exactly.
why are you cooking for yourself? You're feeding someone out there that may not like your flavor profiles, may not like it hot, may not like it spicy. They're baking, they like over crisp, or they want it. So going into that, and I thank you for coming on, because it's just amazing when I get to talk to people like-minded, and has been through it. So as we're going to gear down here, I have some we're going to do quick fire question. And here they go. Share a little bit about your journey and who led you to your current job. Who led you there?
My job or my role? Because I have
Your,
a day job and I have a role as the president of ACF.
your president.
So I would have to say it was Fred Sonnersmith, certified master chef who was the dean of the CIA. He basically told me if I stayed with the American Culinary Federation that I would turn out to be something amazing, and I think he led me in the right direction.
If you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be?
I would have to be to clone myself and 5 of my best friends,
All right.
because that would give me a workforce with 6 more great chefs.
Yes, that's very true. What is your guilty TV show that you don't want necessarily, maybe reality? It could be anything.
I got 3 of them.
Okay.
Navy SEALs, and again, once you watch that video, make your bed, you'll understand. Um, Hell's Kitchen, and The Shooter.
Oh,
I got
okay.
a patch on my backpack said if you heard the shot, it was not intended for you.
I like that too. Um, if you were a kitchen appliance, which would you be and why?
It would have to be the mixing machine
Oh yeah, I've
because the
said blender in the past.
mixing machine does 3 things in a bowl and it's got 45 different attachments. So I can do everything I need with that mixing machine. I can make pasta, I can make sausage, there's so many things to do with that.
If you had to eat one meal for the entirety of your life, what would it be?
Maine lobster.
Okay. For the rest of your life, you'd eat Maine lobster.
It's all I ate when I was a kid. Why not eat it for the
Okay.
rest of my life?
Mine's blue crab, so that's
Okay.
that's all. That's probably because I went to culinary school in Maryland. So, what's the most ridiculous fact that you know?
I know that I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for holding the longest Cuban sandwich in the world,
Come on,
162 feet.
362 feet, Cuban
Yes, sir.
sandwich. Okay. What's your top go-to karaoke song?
Oh, man, I'm a Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics nation. I got to go with Sweet Caroline.
Sweet, yeah, okay, Sweet Caroline. Uh, Taylor, I like that. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you want to be with you? If you take 3 things, you're stranded.
Wow. How about food, my wife, and a 12-pack of cold beer?
The first time I've heard my wife, it's the first time. I'm going
Well,
to tell people about that one.
don't tell her I said that, Joe.
Huh?
Don't tell her I said that.
She must be sitting beside you.
No, she's not. She's not.
She's not. Well, I mean, I can see where you're going with that. There's
Listen,
no
listen.
doubt about it.
the things that we've accomplished together, from feeding veterans and taking over and adopting an orphanage, and the feeding that we did during COVID, and the continuous community service we do around the world with International Chef's Day and Chef and Child. It's the actual model that the ACF was built on. And we're taking all the models the ACF was built on, and we're putting them into play. And even the committees that I'm standing up, like a senior living committee, the chefs from senior living never had a seat at the table. Women pastry chefs didn't have a seat at the table. We're getting ready to start a Latino chef. I mean, it's just, you got to give everybody the opportunity to be a part of what you have, because it's not a club. It's not a good old boys club. There should be a shoe that fits everybody. You just got to find the right one.
What's the funniest thing you've ever had happen or seen in a kitchen?
The funniest thing that has ever happened, someone took out a 5-gallon bucket of starter and left it out on the table overnight in the bake shop. It grew 45 feet in one direction and 30 feet in the other, and it covered the entire floor because the floor was covered with flour, and that's what it fed.
Always fresh garlic, or would you use two?
Where am I?
Your kitchen.
Oh, I'm
at home.
home.
Let's go home.
I'm fresh garlic.
Straight.
If I'm at your house and I'm making dinner for you and your wife and your family, and you got tube garlic, you bought it, you eat it.
Okay, I understand that. That's one of the trends too. Black garlic, man. I actually fell in love with black garlic. I love it.
Garlic confit is a big thing.
Garlic confit. Okay. Buy something from the market or store-bought if the market costs double the price.
Is it a local market?
Local market.
I got to go with the market, Joe. I work for farmers. Land O'Lakes is a farmer-owned company, and the connections we have with our farmers, irreplaceable.
You've made this fun. You've made it real. We're going to get out of here. We've spent a lot of time with you. We'd love to spend more time with you in the future. These guys are going to, as the audience gets to hear this, guys, it's Saucy Bites, sponsored by Ovention Ovens. And Rene, again, thank you so much for your time. We're going to get a lot out of this, and I think people will, they'll learn a lot. The funny and
thank you.
It'll be fun.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and don't forget to make your bed.
All right, brother. Good ending. Thank you, sir.
Have a great night.